Welcome to the inaugural episode of, what are we calling it?
So we haven't decided. Is it going to be 24 FPS or 24 frames per second?
I'm going to call it 24 frames per second because it sounds pretentious.
I'm going to call it 24 FPS. Just
24 frames per second.
24 FPS.
With Balabanos James. I'm obviously not James. That is. I'm Phil.
That makes me James.
Makes you James. Peter James. Peter James, my longtime buddy. We've been trying to do this podcast for 18 years. 18 years we've been trying to get it done.
It's been a while.
We'll get into your interesting topic, which I like. I want to talk about it because it upsets me. That's why I'm buying time now because I'm formulating thoughts.
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
What do they need to... I mean, everybody knows me on the channel. I mean, most people know who I am.
That's right.
Who the fuck is you?
Yeah, who the fuck is me?
We shouldn't have swore so early. We're going to get demonetized.
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm not doing this for the money. So,
There's no money. Yeah, so go for it. Give them your elevator pitch on who you are.
All right. My name is Peter James Katsiras, but I go by Peter James.
Because he's a piece of shit. Go on.
No. So I am actually, you know what? I'm going to take credit for this. I am the one who got Phil interested in becoming a filmmaker.
You've already taken credit for this on 2 other podcasts that I brought you on.
But not on this show. Not on this show. I want people to know.
It's funny that in the first 8 seconds of this show, you've taken credit for something.
Of course. I need people to understand that.
I mean, I will give you credit where credit is due. He did make me ruin my life.
No, hold on. Yeah. I did make you, period. End of sentence. That's it. I made him.
Make me?
Yeah, I made you.
Oh, you made me?
I made you.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how it's going to be.
Bro, whose name is on the glass?
Fair enough. But
yeah, no, Peter was my my hangout and not go to class buddy on the porch of Marianopolis where we paid too much money to not get educated.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, it's true. It's I mean, looking back on it now that I have kids, I'm like, what the fuck was I doing?
Absolutely.
I could have done that event.
Absolutely insane. But what I find interesting is that if you look back on it, and what we're doing right now with this podcast is the genesis of that was that time on the porch.
I mean, my genesis was that time on the porch. Like, I didn't know what I was doing.
No, I'm not talking about in terms of becoming a filmmaker. I'm talking about the genesis of this podcast. Like, you and I, that's basically how we started talking.
That's how we met, yeah.
All right, you were talking about that movie? Yeah, I am. And then
I don't know. I don't think that's true.
What do you mean? That's what I remember.
I remember everyone would leave for class, and then it would just be the two of us because we never went to class, and we would just talk about random shit and smoke shisha.
Absolutely. But once we found out, common interest.
I didn't know, you know what it is? I didn't know that I liked movies as much as I did. I just assumed everyone liked movies.
Fair enough.
And movies were movies, and you watch movies. Like, I remember being a kid, and people were like, what do you want to be? Like, no, not other kids, but adults were like, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? You remember this, right? Obviously.
Of course, yeah.
What you going to do with your life, Peter? Like, you're gonna be a bum, like these conversations, right? And I remember cycling through effectively every movie I had seen. That's what it was. It was like, what do you want to be? Well, I just saw Raiders, and I'm gonna be an archaeologist.
Sure.
I just saw Contact, and I'm gonna go work at SETI or whatever it was. Not SETI.
Yeah, it was SETI.
SETI, yeah. It wasn't SETI. Oh, it was SETI. Of course, it was SETI. Yeah. And so on and so forth. Okay. You know, at some point, I guess I was gonna be a Nazi. I don't know. Depending when I watch Schindler's List. My point is, I just
worry about cursing is going to demonetize.
Yeah, that's going to get us. I mean, those are the type of, like, that's how I figured my life would progress. I would become obsessed with something.
Okay.
And that was the movie that I had seen, the flavor of the week. Then I wanted to be a ninja. Obviously, it was the 90s. I just thought of something that I rewatched recently that we're going to talk about after.
Okay, all right.
And I'll give you a hint. It's Tum Tum.
Oh, yeah.
It's so bad. Anyways. That is the pinnacle of the 90s.
Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about 3 ninjas at some point.
Yeah, 3 ninjas. Tum Tum, Rocky, and the other kid.
Colt. Come on, man.
He was basically a humanoid Raphael, right? He was just like angsty.
Yeah. Super angsty kid. Yeah.
What is his name, the grandfather?
They just call him Grandpa.
No, the actor.
James Wong.
James Wong.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was James.
Is that his name? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, he's the best. He was like the most 90s like Japanese guy. He was in everything.
Sure.
He's always old Japanese guy with the one closed eye.
Absolutely.
He's still alive?
I'm now curious. It was his name actually?
I don't think it was.
Hold on.
It was like something very Japanese, like Watanabe or something.
Survey said no, it was not that.
Anyways, I'll continue my story.
Yeah.
So that's how that was my interaction with movies. I also was not aware.
What? Victor Wong.
Victor Wong. You said James Wang?
I said James Wong.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe it's Victor James.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victor James Wang. Traditional Japanese name. He probably wasn't even Japanese, was he?
He's Chinese, dude.
Fucking so racist, the 90s. Amazing. Anyways, my point is, that was my perception of films. I was not aware of the making of films. Like, I didn't understand how films were made. I didn't understand. I think for probably most kids, at some point in my life, I probably thought these were documentaries.
Like
I was watching this is real. And I didn't watch a lot of animated stuff. I did. I mean, I watched Disney movies and stuff, but like I wasn't into. It wasn't my thing. Like my movie awakening was Raiders. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like I need to see all of this.
Okay.
Just Indiana Jones in general.
Yeah.
And then I went into the Spielberg realm of movies as I was getting older and whatever. But I wasn't aware of them like you were. So when I met you, I must have been 18.
No, you were younger than that. 16, 17.
I mean, we just started college, so I was like 7.
I started at 16. So
Well, I'm born in the summer, so I was probably like 16 or 17 when we met. I don't think I had ever thought about a movie, how it was made in my life. I had seen a few behind the scenes. I remember watching a bootleg VHS. Someone gave it to me of the making of Demolition Man.
Oh,
which
great movie.
A great movie, yeah.
Great movie.
Great, fucking phenomenal movie. But like I was like, whoa. That was the first time, and then I never thought about it again.
Okay.
It wasn't even on the list of stuff that I could do, because as far as I understood, movies are made in a faraway land, not here in Canada. Nobody makes movies here. It's not an option. So like it wasn't even like I'm not gonna do this. It was not on the list of things that I could potentially do.
Did you not contemplate, like when you watch them destroy a building or something, like wow, they really destroyed this?
I just assumed it was all maquettes at that point.
Okay. Oh, I did. Okay.
I knew about maquettes. No, when I was older, yeah, I knew. When I was like 15, 13, whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
But it was never something that I could be a part of. It never even crossed my mind. It was like if you told me, did you ever consider being an alien? I'd be like, no, because I'm not an alien. That
Right,
was like,
okay.
It was that black and white. And then I met you and you're like, I'm going to make movies. I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Because you were obsessed with not movies, but the culture of cinema.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
You were aware of it.
I was very aware of it. I liked the idea. My dream was to do that because for me, now that I can look back on it with my like adult frame of reference.
Mostly adult.
Yeah, mostly adult. I liked telling stories. I always considered myself someone who loved telling stories. Yeah. And so,
but I hadn't done what you did. I hadn't connected the two things.
That's it. I connected it. And for me, was watching these movies was at some point, it was just fun. And then I started realizing, oh, there's like this storytelling aspect of it. And I'm taking away lessons and meanings and morals and sometimes just enjoying the hell of like being told a really good story. And then it was From Dusk Till Dawn. That was the one.
I saw that late in life.
Yeah.
Very late.
I was really young. I think I might have been like 10, 11 years old. And I remember just being, first of all, I wanted to watch that movie because at the time I had a borderline unhealthy obsession with anything related to vampires. I think
you were pretty emo like that.
Not emo.
You weren't emo, but your obsession with vampires was emo.
No, but it
bordered on emo.
Yeah, well, for me, it was like the idea. It was the coolest.
The first script you ever showed me that you wrote. It was just, I'm like, it's a lot of vampires.
Yeah.
And they're angsty vampires too. Like they're very angsty.
Yeah.
You were ahead of the curve.
And the first thing I ever wrote had a lot of vampires and angry vampires. Yeah, and I think it was like really, ripped off from Lost Boys.
Yeah,
the whole idea. Yeah.
Yes.
But I remember
Keith was in that. Yeah,
Keith is the man. I want to bring up something to Keith later.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Put a pin in it.
We should keep like a notepad here.
Absolutely.
Because we tend to do that and we'll forget.
Yeah. We're two people who get sidetracked very easily. So hopefully,
I think we were talking about what the show is, but anyway, go on. Yeah.
But to that point of From Dusk Till Dawn is, for me, it was the first time I watched a movie or a story head in one direction, drop shit, and then just completely.
So Dusk Till Dawn, on that topic. I saw Dusk Till Dawn. I was older. Must have been 17, 16. Like we had met. I had seen Reservoir Dogs. I had seen Pulp Fiction, and to this day I stand by it. Pulp Fiction is not as good of a movie as people make it out to be. It's a fine film.
Unacceptable.
I have nothing.
Unacceptable.
I have no issues with Pulp Fiction, but it's just not what people made it out to be, in my opinion. Maybe because I saw it after it had been hyped to me.
Yeah,
so maybe I had built it up. The dialogue is next level, but the movie itself is just fine.
Nonsense.
It's nonsense, yeah. By far, like not his best work from his body.
Arguable. I'm saying nonsense for you saying that. But watch, see, I can make you make that face. I think the most overrated film of all time is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, so, I didn't think you were going that way.
That's the most overrated film of all time, in my opinion.
You find?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the most overrated film of all time.
That's my opinion.
Why?
I think it's boring. I think it's just straight up boring.
It is a little boring, but But you gotta watch it with the eyes of the time it was made in, right?
I get it, yeah.
Like watching it today, yeah, it's a bit boring.
Yeah.
But those Pan Am lobby scenes, you're like,
You
how?
can say that about any movie made back in the day. You can watch Citizen Kane. Show it. If I showed my wife Citizen Kane right now,
My wife
she'd
will watch this.
fall
and she
asleep
refuses.
10 minutes into it.
Yeah, but at the time it was like groundbreaking, right? So you
absolutely.
got to look at it. It's like when you look back on history and you're like,
Of course,
you can't use your eyes from today, right?
Of course,
No, but I'll agree with you that it is slightly overrated in terms of like how good of a movie it is objectively. For its time, it was beyond. Also, the amount of pop culture influence it's had, I mean, you can't take that away.
Sure. Okay.
The monoliths, they've ripped it off in the Barbie movie. I saw it in the trailer. I haven't seen the Barbie movie.
I saw the Barbie movie.
Yeah,
and it's,
so
the
like,
whole opening is
it's
2001. Yeah.
that like those timpanis going. It's influenced half my life. You know, I'm on the bus, which I've never taken the bus in my life because I'm bougie.
You got a little something here. I got it over here.
A little schmutz.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when I used to take the bus, I used to listen to the 2001 Space Odyssey. I had 12 tracks on my MP3, whatever it was back then, and I used to listen to that fucking opener.
What a nerd.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. I also only fly to John Williams. You know this, though.
Yeah, that's
fucking,
true. Yeah.
I'm going to stop what I'm saying and just tell people. I'm going to give this to you for free, okay? If you take anything from this podcast episode. Time the Superman theme, John Williams' Superman theme, to your takeoff. As the airplane starts to turn to line up for its like run to take off, when you hear the engines go, when they kick in, press play.
Okay.
It almost always times perfectly with the second crescendo. Like and the plane takes off, you feel like a god.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, you look down through the way. I've done it many times. It's because I have a bit of flight anxiety. Like I don't like takeoff. I don't mind flying, but I really don't like takeoff.
Same.
Takeoff and landing, because that's the only time things can really go wrong.
Landing. See, the thing is, the way my
landing, I'm better because I'm like I'm close now.
Yeah. You're like I'm there. Because the thing is, if you quote unquote survive takeoff, you know what you get for surviving it X many hours in the air. You survive landing, you
just get crawl out.
You're there, man.
You're there, man. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's a super random. But try it. I promise you, you will not regret it. It is the adrenaline rush of the G-forces of the airplane taking off, and the music, especially if you've seen the Superman movies, it's next level.
Okay.
All right,
I'll definitely try.
What was my point? What was it?
Well, hold on. I'm gonna.
Wait, what were we saying just before that?
We're pulling away. So
pulling away from what? There's
because I'm gonna tell you. We were talking about how we met, and then we talked about my love for cinema and the movie that kind of defined it. But what ended up happening?
2001.
Yeah. But what ended up happening with our conversations is it took a couple of years, but then we started making movies together.
Yeah, man, that was much later. So much later. It was a couple. Yeah, how much later? A few years. Yeah. I remember the first set I mean, just so everyone knows, like, this is not going to be the format of the show. Like, we're not just going to talk about how we met, and it's not a bromance. Just to give you guys some context, like, we're not randos in a cafe talking about movies. Like, this is my whole life, right?
Yeah.
Even though now most of my work is commercial, it's still storytelling, it's still film. But like, yeah, that's the thing. Peter's right. He did introduce me to the idea that this could be a job.
Yeah.
Right? Which I was not aware of at all. You went to Trebas.
Yeah, I went to Trebas.
You left Marinopolis while I was being expelled.
Yep.
You went to Trebas. I was still not, I don't know if it was clear to me what I was doing. I mean, I had been doing arts. Like, I had been doing theater and stuff like that. So like, it's not like it was the idea of storytelling to a public. I was aware of theater and acting, and I had done all that stuff, and I was doing it actively.
Well, the first film that I made, which was Nervous, Nervous had a character that was fully based on you. And as a matter of fact, I had you
you had me come in and read for a character that was me, and you said it wasn't believable because I wasn't taking what you were doing seriously at all.
I
was like, what a nerd. Like, this is a video geek, right? Also, you're not a technical guy, so at all. Like, zero. You're not a camera operator. You're not a cinematographer. No. So like, until I got hold of that information, I don't think I had made the connection that this is also a trade. Yeah. So it was all just very vague and whatever to me.
I had a vision. I mean, I know how to do things. I just,
but I would never describe you as a technical crew member. You exist above the line always. Yeah. Whereas I've bounced between, like, I am the line, like I'm up and down. So what was my point?
Well, when we went...
so when you brought me in, I didn't take it seriously. You went to Travis first.
Yep.
And then I remember meeting up with you. Maybe you were like 6 months into it or something. I forget.
Yeah.
And we went. It was on the corner of, I'll never forget this, Blurry, where Park becomes Blurry.
Yeah.
Sherbrooke. There was like this weird little like Moroccan-owned cafe that was fake Italian. and we had sausage sandwiches.
Yes.
I don't know why I remember this.
Yes.
And you were describing what the program was like, and I'm like, this sounds amazing. And then you told me about film history, like what you guys were doing, and I was like, I'm like, that's super fucking interesting. Like I've never, even though I would like analyze a film when I'd watch it, I had never actually thought about it as something you could. Like I remember, this is random. I remember in drama class in high school, I must have been in the 8th grade. We were doing Shakespeare, and you had, you know, I mean, you do Shakespeare in high school. You look at the themes and what is he trying to say,
Right?
And no one was getting it, right? No one was understanding it, and I had not studied or whatever. And he was mad, the teacher, Steve Backos. What's up, Steve? Important guy in my like overall history, but anyways. So he gets mad because I'm not paying attention. I'm fucking around, and he throws text like some pages at me. He goes, read this to the class. So I read it. He goes, what is he talking about here? And I fucking just immaculately give him the explanation because it just made sense to me for whatever reason. It's like I'm not flexing here. Like it clicked with me. And he looks at me, he's like, and he runs to his desk and he grabs a folder and he throws the folder at me. He goes, you've been going through my stuff? I was like, what? And he was almost word for word what the actual like author of this exercise book we were working in had said. I was like, no. And then I explained to him how I got to that conclusion. And he's like, oh, okay. That was the first time that I understood story elements.
Right.
Really, they came naturally to me.
Okay.
Right? It was simple. I was also like a pathological liar as a teenager. Like I would just make shit up all the time. So like those two things go hand in hand because what we do is a lie, right? It's a massive lie.
At the time, did you think you were bullshitting your way out of the answer, or you knew what the answer was? Like you knew it inherently?
He asked me a question and I answered. Okay. That's all it was. I didn't think I was bullshitting.
Okay.
And like lying was not to get myself out of trouble or bullshit. Like it was something I did because it amused me.
Right.
Because I was like, how much will these people believe? Like how believable can I make this? And I would go on these long tangents and make up stories and people were like, wow, that happened to you? I'm like, God's honest truth, bro. You know, like, and it was fun. And those are the early beginnings of it. But then when you took me to the campus, I was like, it doesn't look like a school. This is a weird building.
Yeah.
And then the very next week, I went to the open house on my own and I met a bunch of the teachers and like what was his name? Ben? I met Ben. Where happened to Ben?
Shout out to Ben Paquette.
Ben Paquette. He was a talented guy. I don't know where he is now, but he was one of our professors. Yeah. He was yours and he was mine for a bit. And then he left. Anyways, so then I met my arch rival at the school, Jean Guérin, who was my film history teacher, who I did not like and could not stop talking about the one cameo he had where he played Orson Welles in Magnificent Creatures. What's that movie? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Hold on. It's
I don't remember what it's called. The movie. Something Creatures. Midnight Creatures. Magnificent
Beautiful Creatures.
No. Well, who's in that? It's what's her name? Oh, fuck, man. Just also another thing you guys should know is he's great at remembering names of actors and film titles.
Yeah, but
I'm not.
You're wrong here on the title. That's why it's throwing me off.
It's Something Creatures. I'm not going to look at it. Put it in the comments if you guys can figure it out.
Yeah.
Or it's the character's terrified of Orson Welles. She sees him in her dreams. Anyway, so he is the teacher that I did not get along with at Trevis. But like I saw it. And I remember telling my dad, and he's like, fuck no, you're not doing this. Like, you're not going to spend $20,000 to study film, you idiot. And I was like, but Dad, and keep in mind, this is like, what year is this, Pete?
This would have been 2006?
5?
Maybe, yes.
So like there wasn't, like YouTube was young. Like there were videos, but they were like whatever. Nobody was making content.
Yeah.
My dad often brings this, like he'll bring it up. He's like, I would have never guessed that you would have made a career out of this. Like, yeah, I thought you were just indebting yourself.
Sure.
He threw something at me when I told him. I remember that.
Wasn't it a pan or something?
You know, he was frying and he threw the spatula at me.
The spatula.
And then I looked at him. He's like, bring it back. I got to flip these burgers. I was like, what? But I mean, I'm not pissed about it. Like, I get it. I would react the same way.
No, my dad was initially against it or just thought it was a phase. And then he saw, I don't know if he had seen Nervous, my first film. I don't think he had seen my second one either, but I did a music video for a band from St. Hyacinth. Shout out October Sky.
That was the first set I ever worked on.
Yeah. And when we shot that music video and I finally got it edited and ready, he came, like I was watching it with Dre, who's
I watched it recently.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold.
I know.
No, it doesn't hold. It was good for the time.
Yeah,
it doesn't hold.
Exactly. It's not that timeless piece. And so Dre was over, who's my oldest friend, and at the time it was my editor. He was
your cam op,
below the line guy. He was my cam.
I was just holding cables and shit. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was holding the monitor actually.
Yeah,
I was walking around. You were watching the monitor.
Yeah. And so Dre and I finished the cut, And I think my dad, like we did this in the basement of my house. My dad came home, and I think he just politely wanted to come down and say hi to Dre and see what we're up to. And I was like, yeah, Dad, check this out. And I played the video, and it's not my dad's type of music or anything like that, but he watches it and he has that like moment that your parents. I see it in his eyes, and he essentially said like,
he's very good.
Fuck, he's talented. Like he's not gonna let this go, right? And so I mean, since then we've made a couple things. I'm no longer working as, I mean, I'll pop in.
You pop in, pop out, but like it's not your daily grind.
No, not anymore. But that's why I wanted
movies still are.
You, of course, yeah. And that's why I really wanted to do this, especially
look,
with
it was
you.
50-50. Like I almost left the industry too.
Yeah.
Like I almost gave up. Like I tried to do the studio route and go through Actis, and I was like, this is not for me. Like I moved into commercial work because I needed to make money so it could be viable, obviously. But like indies are what I was enjoying, and it's obviously like now I have kids, it's different. But like my goal, and like my wife knows, like it was do the indies, figure out what I'm doing, make the contacts I need. I switched over to commercial work and like corporate style stuff. They're still films, they're just commercials, right?
Sure.
I do a lot of content too now because it's necessary, and I mean it helps subsidize my life.
Yeah.
Like it pays the bills. But once the kids got to a certain age, like we both knew like I was coming back.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna move back into fiction, maybe some documentaries because there's some stuff I want to work on. I mean, like now I'm shopping a potential script that I came across, a story that I came across that I can get the rights to, and I'm like trying to figure out if it's viable. I'm never gonna talk about it on the show, by the way. Like I'll never give, because the idea is not safe.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. It's
like
we're gonna win Oscars. That's how I pitched it.
Yeah.
We're gonna win an Oscar.
But he told me, and I was like, oh, I'd pay money to see this.
Like I
movie.
can't safely give the premise
No,
out because
fine.
I'll lose the rights to it. So, but it's something that I'm actively working on. But I still do commercial work. You moved into a different field because, I mean, you gotta make a living.
Well, yeah. I started working in sales.
And he's good at sales because he's full of shit selling those stories.
I liked making money, and
I like make money.
and so it became. But here's the thing: it became something that I still like, which was my favorite thing about when I was working in film was the collaborative process. And so now I still do a job that I have to work with people, and I
mean, there are definitely parallels between what you did and what you're doing. They're also nothing alike at the same time.
No.
And I'm constantly mad at you for leaving the daily grind and going to do something else. I get it, but fuck you.
Sure, fair enough.
But yeah, that's kind of the story of how we ended up here. And
talking about, now that you've given enough time, we talk about we're here, what we started with. Tell me your thoughts on where we started on this.
All right.
Chris Nolan versus Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve is extremely talented.
Okay.
Like, I met him once, and it was the few times in my life where I didn't know what to say.
Okay.
I would just kind of like, hello, Mr. Villeneuve, Mr. Denis. And like, hello. Like, here's a guy who's where I'm from, where I'm from, who did everything I wished I could have done, right?
And if you know Phil, like, we're talking about literally, like, when the thought, if you had told the 16, 17-year-old us sitting on that porch smoking cigarettes that a French-Canadian filmmaker will make a sequel to Blade Runner, I think your head would have caved in. You would have been like, yeah, of course, it's me.
I only really became aware of Villeneuve, like how good he really was after Sicario, I think.
Okay. Had you seen like Polytechnique or Montreal? Had you seen it?
I've seen Polytechnique since.
Okay.
But not when it was, like I've seen it now.
Okay. And Incendie?
Incendie was one of those films that I watched. It came out the same year as J'ai tué ma mère, I think, as Dolan's film, no?
I couldn't tell you, but maybe.
They came out close together.
Sure.
And for some reason, I thought it was the same filmmaker. So I watched Incendie and I was like, oh, it's fucking great. And then I went to watch J'ai tué ma mère, which I think is a load of crap.
See, I don't like Dolan, but I don't hate J'ai tué ma mère.
But like, and I'm the type that I'll watch weird fucking art house films. Like I watched last week, actually, I watched Dogtooth again because I know his new movie got like crazy.
Out of Venice, Poor Things with Emma Stone.
With Emma Stone, right? So, when's that coming out? Like, when's
that's soon. I mean, listen, it just had
like The Lobster didn't do it for me.
Oh, come on.
The Lobster confused me more than anything, and it. Like an art house film for me, it has to make me feel something, but I also want to be able to enjoy watching it to some extent.
Okay.
Whereas The Lobster was like, it felt It felt disjointed to me.
I disagree, but that's okay.
That's fine. I
Yeah.
mean, just but like Dogtooth, which is super disjointed
Yeah.
and like framed to high hell.
But you were like,
I was like, this is like, what is happening here? They're licking each other's elbow pits. Like someone made a movie about this.
That's
like,
a
this is
wild.
wild.
For those of you who haven't seen
Dogtooth is Lanthimos'
by
first
Yorgos Lanthimos, same guy.
film.
His first major
release,
film, major release. Yeah,
I've seen some of his shorts actually.
Okay.
They're trash.
Oh, really? Yeah.
They feel like student films.
So this guy is the director, most famously known for The Lobster and The Favorite with Emma Stone
seen
and
The Favourite.
Olivia Colman.
No, I've never seen it.
Olivia Colman won an Oscar for that.
Yeah,
she was incredible.
I've never seen it.
That is a wild, but
You gotta
his most
you
accessible
gotta keep
film.
in mind that the last 7 years for me have been a black void of films. Like I have not been to the theater except for Clifford, the big red dog, 2 years ago with my daughter. Since my daughter was born,
Didn't you walk out halfway through that? Because
we had to. My kid was confused. She's a fucking whatever her generation, alpha gen, right? She's 7, so she's grown up watching whatever she wants, whenever she wants, and stopping it and going on demand, right? She grew up with Netflix accessible. So we're watching Clifford. She's super excited to be at the theater. She had actually been to the theater once before. We went to see Frozen, I remember, with all her cousins, but she was so captivated by Frozen that she didn't say anything, and she was much younger. So we're sitting there, and she goes, "Pause it." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Pause the movie." I go, "Pause them. What are you crazy?" She goes, "I have to pee." We can't pause the movie. She goes, "But we paid and we can't even pause it." I'm like, "Look, I understand what you're saying, but no." She goes, "All right, let's just leave. I gotta pee." I was like, "Oh, okay."
And then after the bathroom, she just had no interest in
She's like, "There's an arcade. I mean, Clifford the Big Red Dog was not a great movie.
Yeah, okay.
Like I was bored too. I was
Okay,
like, this is not great. And I like kids movies. I enjoy them sometimes.
I love kids.
Like I watch. What did we watch recently? We watched Encanto. Not recently, but like Encanto's fun to watch. Like I can sit through it.
Yeah.
The second Frozen has a way better soundtrack than the first one.
Sure.
It's all like 80s ballads.
I'm looking forward. This was the most recent, I think, Pixar release, Elemental.
We watched it.
How is it?
It's, you know what? It's a little on the nose for the analogies and the metaphors, but it's fun. It has a nice like score.
Okay.
There's nothing groundbreaking happening, but the animation is really interesting. It's not Spider-Verse level interesting.
Okay, yeah.
But it has
that's
this
not
like
trying to do that
fuzzy
either.
texture that I've never seen before.
Okay.
Like everything's kind of really clean and digital, but also organic.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
A
A little on the nose though, but it's for kids.
I am hoping. I don't know if this is still happening, especially now with the strike and everything, but one of my most pleasant surprises when it comes to children's movies in the last couple of years was
Is there a red light on the camera? I'm just being
yes,
suspicious.
yes.
Just make sure.
Zootopia.
This Zootopia? What about it?
Super underrated film.
It is underrated. Yeah, it is. I like
was
Zootopia.
so
I mean,
good.
I watch a lot of kids movies because of the kids.
Of course.
And Anna's not. She used to be way more movie, like let's watch movies.
Okay, yeah.
But I find the last couple of years she wants long form. Like she wants to like go into a series that has 3 seasons or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine because I know there's like an argument right now in society or the industry. Are these series the new cinema?
Well,
I think they might be to some
The
extent.
golden age of television is now. So
Serialized content, like we had this argument when I said let's call the show 24 frames per second. You're like, what about TV? I'm like, all the big series are 24 frames per second, right? Maybe
Or
the playback is 60 on through Netflix, but whatever. I'm just saying they're shot in 24. Less like The Hobbit. Fuck The Hobbit. It's 48 frames per second. So
weird.
I think these may be the new 90s cinema. Not cinema. Cinema still exists.
Yeah, okay.
But that 90s, like, good, solid movies that are also pop culture, like part of pop culture, that are also mainstream, but that are also exploring, like, artistic ways of telling stories. I think that may be where we're, maybe not Netflix specifically,
Okay.
but I like it too. Like, I enjoy it. So a lot of times, but every so often, I'm like, let's watch a fucking movie. I don't want to know what happens down the line. I just want to watch a story.
That's it.
Be done.
It has a
No
beginning.
sequels.
Okay. So
No, I want to stand alone. Like I get in these moments where she's like, "What do you want to watch tonight?" I'm like, "Statham." She's like, "Which one?" I'm like, "Anything Statham." I want to watch Statham kill everyone.
Yeah.
Like, what was the last one he did? Son of Man, Wrath of Man.
No, that's not the last one. But
No, the last good one. That's the Guy Ritchie movie,
Yeah,
Wrath
The
of Man.
Wrath of Man.
Like Wrath of
that's a
Man is the
remake.
most Statham movie I've ever seen.
So hold on this movie. So Wrath of Man is a remake of a French film called Le Convoyeur, right?
Yeah.
Wrath of Man, in my opinion, is such a perfectly disjointed. It's what was the joke I told you? I think it's Guy Ritchie doing Tarantino.
Oh yeah, I
And-
can see that.
And it's
Sure.
it's
That's
wonderful.
a disservice to the movie, though.
No,
saying that.
okay, fine. Oh,
Fine, bro.
so I have a friend who you know well also, Sarah Levesque.
Okay.
So-
She's an actress,
So
a working actress,
yes.
by the way, not just like some random.
shout out Sarah.
Yeah. What's up?
So Sarah, we were all hanging out, a group of friends, and this was like in the middle of, COVID was still happening, and it was like kind of weird to hang out all together. But we made our way all together, and we're talking about movies we saw and everything, and she tells me and Dre and Gavin, all these guys, that her and Max, who's her boyfriend, paid money to, like, through PVOD, right, premium video on demand, to watch what she called one of the worst movies in recent memory.
Which
And I
was?
said, what are you talking about? And she goes, it's with Jason Statham called
okay.
Wrath of Man. And then Gav, Dre, and I had seen that together. We immediately turned on them and like,
No, this is phenomenal. And I hated it too.
oh my God, how could you hate that movie?
Her real issue was she was there for Statham, right? To go around and just level humanity, just kill people.
She was waiting for like a transporter type movie.
I suppose. Which, I mean, he kills a lot of, no spoilers, but like he kills a lot of people in the movie. But he also gets his ass handed to him a bunch of times.
Sure.
Which I liked.
Yeah,
Because we went through that. So the 90s was like the Superman. He killed everyone in one scratch here. And right near the end of the movie, he got gut shot. But he was all right.
Or shot in the shoulder.
Or shot in the shoulder, but he was okay, and he still beat the crap out of the guy. Comes out unscathed. He's a hero. Then we moved into this everyman
Yeah.
period where, like Sean Pegg is the hero.
Yeah.
Like these Edgar Wright films where they're everyman stories.
Sure,
and they're great films. And it's like, I could be that guy. Maybe that could be me accidentally beating people up because oops. And then we moved into this, like, the superhero who's kind of an everyman.
Like
Where he's a superhero, but it's realistic. He gets his ass handed to him.
Right. So you're talking about like the Jason Bournes and
The Bournes, or even the new Batman, right? The latest
Yeah.
Batman, which, no, not a great example because, Batman, if you haven't seen the latest Batman, which I feel like it's been long enough I can say, Batman gets his ass kicked a lot in this movie.
but he's vengeance.
But he's vengeance. He's kind of the Crow, right?
Right,
He ripped off
okay.
the Crow.
Yeah.
But I really, like, one of the strongest Batmans
Yeah,
ever.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
And I was upset with the movie because he got his ass handed to him so many times. Then I realized,
Like Batman Year 2.
but he's baby Batman.
Yeah, he's
So
Batman
he's learning
here
to
too.
be Batman. So that's how I forgive it. So I don't use it as part of that. But you know what I mean, right? Like, you have these superheroes, protagonists who get their asses kicked. They still prevail, but it's realistic. Like,
And we're missing,
what I mean?
We're missing one of the most bizarre tangents in terms of action films
which was?
that happened, which has now become its own category, I think. The Liam Neeson kills everybody movie.
That's a specific type of film where it's like, what do you want to watch? You want to watch a comedy or romance, or do you want to watch Liam Neeson kill everybody?
It's become its own subgenre.
It's own
It's
subgenre.
Liam Neeson. He's got a new one coming out
Like,
too.
I watched, it's not a film, but it's a series, and I think it's this is something I want to be careful with on this show.
Sure.
So I watched, what is it called?
Hijack.
Thank
See,
you.
I speak
Yeah, he
fluently.
speaks
I know
I
exactly what
watched
you're talking about.
Hijack, and I'm like, Idris Elba on a plane with terrorists? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking 90s.
Yeah.
And then it starts, I'm like, oh no, it's post 90s. Like, it's not a classic terrorism
It's not
plot.
Passenger 57.
Which is what I was there for, but with Idris Elba.
Right, okay.
Idris Elba. Like, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I realized
Did he get to keep his accent?
Yeah,
I haven't seen the series.
Yeah,
So
he has his accent.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's not doing a character.
Sure.
He's not. It's a role. It's not a character role. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, it's a contemporary reimagining of these. And I'm here for it, And he's a superhero, not a superhero.
Gotcha.
I like it, and then it gets weird, and the weirdness was fine. I will
Don't
say
spoil
this
it.
without spoiling anything. I did not like how the series ended. I thought it was weird. I know it was a miniseries.
So immediately with that statement, the chances of me enjoying this series just went up 25%.
You will not.
25%.
You know why?
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna come back in a later. Hold on a second. In a later episode, we're gonna come back, and I'm gonna tell you. I'm telling you.
Look,
I like
this is what I will tell you. There's a lot of setup, which isn't paid off later, which
Okay.
I assumed was them red herring me, like throwing me off.
Okay.
Then I realized, no, that doesn't make sense. This is just lazy, sloppy storytelling. And I'll leave you with that. Now, I wanted to make this show run kind of like an episode of TV.
Yep.
Which is like never more than 45 minutes. So I'm into this. but we're going to end the show.
Yeah, the pilot.
It's not really a pilot. It's a podcast. It's
I just say it because
podcast.
it bothers you.
Yeah, whatever. Pilot. I mean, this is 24 frames per second. This was going to be a lot of this, a lot of meandering. And we will finish this discussion about... What was the discussion about?
Denis Villeneuve versus Christopher Nolan.
We will finish that next week. So, come back.
We put pins into movies we didn't talk about. Come back next time for Three Ninjas.
Because we're going to have to rewatch what we talked about so we can continue in the next episode. But we will figure out if Three Ninjas is the ultimate 90s movie, why Hollywood was so racist and made Chinese people act like they were Japanese, and if Denis Villeneuve is a better filmmaker than Christopher Nolan, which, I mean, there's no answer to that. But my name is Phil Balabanos.
Peter James.
We'll see you next time on 24 frames per second.
24 FPS.